Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of restoring a Corvette C3 after sitting for 20 years. In today's episode, we are going to be working on the heater core, and I will also in depth, and I mean, you guys have got to see this episode. I will in depth take apart this whole entire heater box, fix every single blend door on it, blend door in there, blend door in there, blend door inside of there, that blend door. There's also a blend door inside the fender that nobody knows about. I explain all of this stuff in this video. Basically, at the end of this video, you're completely gonna understand your whole heater system, all your heater boxes, all your blend doors. And we're also gonna discuss this whole entire heater box there with the air conditioning, the blower motor, the hookups to it, the order of all these wires, and this relay box, and why this stuff sometimes fails. And yes, none of this stuff works in this car. The blower motor doesn't work. None of the switches and controls work. None of the blend doors move. There's full of crap in there, full of rust. I'll show you how to fix it all. And if you have a C3 with a different heater box system, it's all very similar, so you'll benefit from this video for sure. So you might as well watch it anyways. I'm gonna get started right now and start taking things apart and explaining things. Thanks for watching. Let's get started now. So before you do anything, you gotta disconnect your battery. And here at the front, we're at the front right now, on the bottom of the radiator, there is a drain right here on the right side. So you would unscrew that, and we're gonna start this with removing the heater core, and I'll show you why right now. So starting at these two hoses, we're basically following those two hoses, and see they go down into there. They come in right here. Now I'll show you the problem here. So this one hose is completely kinked, so that's no good. And the second thing is, when this car got towed here, I actually noticed a little bit of antifreeze on here. So you got two clamps, one there and one there. Okay, I'm gonna loosen both those clamps right now. Okay, since we're changing the hoses, I actually put little holes in the bottoms here, so then the fluid's not gonna fall on my head when I go to take this off. So this will come off now. I cut a slit into it, so look at that, boom. And whoa, look at this. So for sure, 100%, we're changing the heater core. Okay, so moving inside now, we have got the car at this point here. In order to take this dash apart, you're gonna have to watch my other video entitled Engine Harness, Headlight Harness, Dashboard Removal, Shooting Electrical Problems. Trust me, you wanna watch that video if you're rebuilding one of these cars or repairing one of these cars. It's one of the best videos that explains everything in it, and it shows how to get the dashboard to that point. So the link is at the end of this video. You might as well watch that. Otherwise, I'm gonna get into this right now. We're gonna continue with taking out the heater core now. So in here, we took this cover off. We had to disconnect this from the center console, and it was actually really hard to get that out. So in order to get this heater core out, we're gonna have to take this out and this out. And either way, it all has to come out, because we gotta make sure there's not a mouse nest inside, or mouse poop or something that can catch on fire. It all has to get taken apart, inspected, and then put back together properly. So we're taking that all apart, getting to the heater core, which is in there. We for sure need a new one. The bottoms of that heater core are completely destroyed. All right, we're gonna start by removing this. So right there is a 5/16 bolt. Let's take that out. Okay, we got that out. Disconnect the antenna, and that should just come right out. Wow. Well, talk about a mouse problem. See what I mean? So let's say somebody wouldn't have taken that apart and they just got the car running and they would have started driving it around. Well, your resistor for your heat controls gets super hot, and it would literally catch that on fire and you would lose your whole entire car. So see what I mean about looking for places where mice could have built something in your heater system? All right, we put a glove on. Let's get this mouse stuff out of here. Ugh. So let's just take a little peek in there. So see what I mean? All that stuff needs to get really well cleaned out and inspected and lubed up and greased up to get all these little controls going properly before we reassemble this back together. Next, we're gonna take this off. There's a screw there and there's one on the other side, which is broken. Okay, we got that centerpiece out. So now when you turn this, right, that opens a door and closes it. So we're gonna remove this right there right now and then unscrew that, and that should come out. And also over here there's 1 and 2 screws right there, so we're going to take those out. And once we do that, see all around at the back there, see there's a screw in the middle of the screen and there's another one there in the middle of the screen. So we're going to take all those out and we'll see if that'll get it out. And also, just so everybody knows, all those moving little parts, everything has to get inspected, cleaned super good, greased up. It has to be super free and work super well before we put anything back. Nothing is getting put back on this car until it's 100% fixed and working. We're not gonna put things back if we don't understand something or whatever. We're gonna fix it, grease it up, clean it up, then put it back on. So you just grab that with some pliers, and that just comes right off. And then that'll come off, and let's get that screw off. All right, we got those 2 out, and also right there, look, there's another one. So then we'll be able to take this apart from this. And I mean, we're gonna have to inspect all that and make sure everything's working and moving around properly. So it's all gotta come out. And then for this part, we got all those screws out, see? Those ones, the bottom ones, but there's one screw right there. You see that? So that one gets unscrewed from the other side under the hood. So right here under the hood, see this thing here? So that screw is hiding right there, see it? So we gotta, well, it's a nut actually. So we gotta take that nut off, and I think that'll come out. So let's get going. Okay, so this just comes out like that now, and with that screw out over there, this is pretty much ready to come out. So I started pulling this forward a little bit, and see, look at all the mouse crap and stuff. Anyways, so at the back of it, there's a hose for that controls some kind of door here or something, and then there's one on top. So you just pull this top one up really hard, and that comes out, and then the back one pulls off, and then this should come right out. And also make sure you label it. So I put top heater box, and then I put back heater box. If you don't label stuff, you will forget what goes where. So make sure you label every single thing that you disconnect. All right, let's pull this puppy out. So I just noticed one more thing. So in order to pull this back one off, it actually looks just like this back there. So you have to take this little thing off first, just with a pair of pliers it comes off, and then this will be able to go up. See, it'll go up. So that's what that looks like. So this is almost ready to come out. All we got to do now is, this is kind of in the way. So we took that little clip off, just like the one in the back there, and then this goes like this. See, and then there we go. So now that's out of the way. We're gonna label this really quickly, and then that thing is ready to come out. All right, we have it out, and as you can see, things aren't moving very well on it. It is disgusting with mouse poop and stuff. Things are rusted on it. Things aren't really moving the way they're supposed to. Here's what the inlet pipes look like on the heater core inside, so that's for sure got to get replaced. This is probably the only part that's working on it, but we're gonna clean everything, you know, get all the rust and poop and things out of it. Just a quick little glance inside. So after shaking this thing around, look, a mouse dragged in this, like an old key or something right in there. And that was actually obstructing one of the doors from moving back and forth. So I mean, any way you look at it, this whole thing had to come out. We're gonna get the heater core out, buy a brand new heater core. And once that's here, we're gonna completely grease this thing up, clean this thing up, make everything work on it. It's all in this video, so stay tuned. All right, so now on the inside of this, we're gonna take out that screw. There's one there, one there, and all of these ones too. All right, we got all those out. Now we got a 7/16 right there. All right, so I believe there's 3 bolts left. One is there, and there. I'm gonna take those out right now. And of course, all the bolts go into a baggie that says heater box. And just like that, our heater core is exposed. So all we got left here now is there's 4 bolts. Let's get those out and take a look inside of this thing. Yuck is all I gotta say. All right, here is our heater core. It's clearly garbage. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is go inside of the house. We're gonna wash all these parts super good in our sink. Unfortunately, it's cold here and the hose is frozen. So we're gonna move inside, clean all that. All right, so you might be wondering how to clean this thing, like where to even begin. So you need a sink, some warm water, and honestly, I can't even imagine cleaning it without some SOS pads. Like these things clean things super good. Okay, we got this thing nice and clean. Everything is moving properly now. So I'll show you what's next. The first thing you're gonna need is some WD-40. Basically, can't live without it. Awesome product. So get some. And then you're gonna need some heavy duty grease, Lucas brand, also great stuff. So you're gonna spray all your moving parts. So this thing moves nice, just like that. Then you take your heavy duty grease like this and you squeeze it in. Squeeze it into those moving areas, just like that. And then, you know, 10 years down the road, it's still gonna be there. Underneath too, just squeeze it in there. All right, so as you can see, this part of the heater box is 100%. Look how nice that moves now. Everything's clean, ready to be reinstalled. Let's move on to the next part. All right, next we're gonna clean this whole thing. The only thing with this is, see these little end pieces for the vacuum hoses? So you have to put a vacuum hose on these so you don't get any water inside of this. So I'm gonna cap these up, bring it in the house, clean it super good, and then I'll show you what it looks like clean and how to grease this thing up and test all the doors and everything. All right, we got this thing spotless, looking pretty nice. So this here moves like that, and it closes that door all the way, and then goes like this, and then it closes over here, like that. So we're quickly gonna do the same thing, spray all the moving parts, every single pivoting point, and then put some of this grease on it. Okay, we got every single moving part greased up. It moves super nice now, nice and smooth. So there's 2 ways to test this diaphragm. I'll show you right now. Okay, so the way this diaphragm works is when the car is running, it's either sucking air here or here, depending on where you turn your switch inside your car. So when this part's sucking, this will go like this. And when the other part's sucking, then it'll go this way. So one way to test this is you push this door all the way in, and then you put your finger on here. See, if the door stays, try to push it a little bit, and then watch what happens when I let go. So this works. And now the other way, so you push the door this way, put your finger on the inside. See, and then you give it a little push, not too hard. If you don't hear air coming out, then it's holding. Watch when I let go. Okay, I'll take you guys outside now and I'll show you guys another way to test it using a vacuum. Okay, since we don't have any kind of vacuum pump, we're just gonna borrow a vacuum hose from a whole nother car and see if this functions properly. All right, first we're gonna hook it up to this side of the diaphragm. All right, we got our vacuum. So as you can see, that's going good that way. Okay, now what we're gonna do is on the inside here, see there's another one right there. Okay, we're gonna hook it up right now. So as you can see, in that direction, it also works perfectly. Okay, here's another angle of that. Plugging it in now. All right, so as you can see, that works perfectly now. Okay, as you can see, that works perfectly. So our heater core is on its way. As soon as it gets here, we're gonna put that box back together and we'll move on. So while we're waiting, we're gonna take all these here and clean those super good. And I forgot to mention, when you're cleaning mouse poop, wear a respirator and safety stuff, gloves, whatever. So as you can see, that's got poop in it too. We're gonna clean these up good. Okay, we got these all nice and spotless. And honestly, guys, there was so much crap inside of those. And you know, that's air that you're breathing when you're cruising around, not to mention fire hazard. So basically the only thing wrong with these is, see, this has like a little vent control on it. So this one is busted. So we're gonna fix that, and then all of this, including that, and the heater core, and everything is ready to be 100% reassembled. And like I said, nothing is going back into this car until it's 100%. So this is part of it. So you just grab this here and this whole thing should just come right out. And let's try to figure this out. So here's the other one that's not broken. See, that's what that looks like inside. So we can no problem get that spring bent back and put back in. So let's get that done. Okay, so I bent the spring back, but now I actually noticed what's actually wrong with this. So see, this just comes out like this. See, like this plastic is supposed to go around that so it stays in place. So I know how I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna take a washer that's just the right size, put it over top of that, and we're just gonna crazy glue it right there, and then that will stay in place. Okay, so we sanded that and we sanded that so it would stick good. We're actually gonna use super glue, great product, can't live without it. So you just put it in where it's gotta be, and then you squeeze for 1 minute. Okay, so as you can see, that will go right in there now and it'll stay in place. The only thing we'll have to do is take a round file and just clean the inside of that out later on when it dries. Okay, we're basically ready to put the heater core in. The only thing we gotta do now is clean all the little screws and brackets and things that came off this. And of course, we gotta wait for the heater core.
Special delivery.
Oh, no way, what is it?
Heater core.
What?
How about that?
What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? See what a nice helper I got? All right, let's get back to work.
Till next time.
See ya, thanks again.
Ciao.
All right, we got our new heater core. We got our parts cleaned, ready to be reinstalled. And also, she brought us new hoses and a new water pump, everything locally from Napa. And I mean, I can't believe how easy these parts are to get and how inexpensive they are. Okay, let's start the reassembly of this heater box. Okay, what you want to do is take this part and put it down like this with this flappy thing on this side. And then you take your heater core and you slide it in like this through that hole. And that's how that goes. See what I mean? Okay, so now you take your little bolt, they're like a fine thread bolt, and every single bolt gets a dab of grease on it, so in the future there's no issues, it'll never corrode or get stuck. All right, so you put these brackets on here like that, one on top, one on the bottom, but I already noticed the problem and I'm only 10 seconds into this, so let me show you what the problem is. So for some reason, this heater core is 2.5 inches wide and this one is only 2 inches wide. So when you put the bracket on here, see, it fits perfect. And when you put it on this one, it's loose and wobbly. So I quickly went online and I guess apparently that's the way they are. So we're gonna modify these. Okay, so see what I mean? It just moves around. So we're gonna bend this and make it work. Okay, well, as you can see, we made some modification a little bit, but I mean, that is 100%. There's no issues there. The same thing on both sides. Take a look, see, that's in there good. It's pressed up the way it should be. There's no movement, nothing, you know. Just in case, you know, one of you guys is coming across this problem. See, everything works. All right, let's connect it to this box now. But first we gotta put this cover on. And as you can see the holes don't line up. So I already marked it out with a marker where I gotta cut that to make it work. And we can make that work no problem. And then after we cut that, we just have to put this on right here. And as you can see, we're gonna have to move these pipes a little bit just by bending them. Shouldn't be an issue. Don't let little things like this discourage you from moving forward. This is a little bit of modification, no big deal. It is what it is. I called the store, even if I ordered another one, they're all that size now for some reason. So, all right, so I cut that, fits perfect now. I did have to bend this a little bit that way in order to fit this. Once we have this on, we're just gonna bend this a little bit back. So 2 of these type of screws, not the super fine ones, go in order to put this on, and the super fine one, that one is for the little bracket. And don't forget to grease every single one up. All right, we got this on. As you can see, it looks perfect, nothing wrong with that. So now when you put this on, see that corrosion there? So when that's pressing up against that can eventually make a hole in these 2 spots because it'll kind of transfer over. So what you gotta do is you just gotta put some of this grease on it, right there, and that'll buy you at least an extra 50 years. So just put some on there, put it on, and don't worry about it. It'll never corrode once it's greased up like that. All right, as you can see, we got that all on. The only problem now is this should be coming out straight. So if you grab it, we can just bend that. It's pretty flexible. All right, and as you can see, just like that, this thing's 100%. We didn't have to order stuff or wait for stuff. We made it work. Okay, let's move on and install this into the box. All right, now you take your box and you just, that part there, it just kind of goes into this area. Just like that. Boom. All right, once you got at this point, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts to screw in, and they look like this, see? They have these little teeth on them like that. So that's where those go, and they just look like this. So let's put those in. And yeah, those get the grease too. And you know, the thing is you guys don't realize is, yeah, these cars are worth quite a bit of money now, but in 80 years from now, doing this, somebody will be fixing that again because these cars are priceless. And they're gonna thank me for this. I'll be dead, but they'll be like, whoever did this, thank God. All the bolts are coming out so easy. So that's why you do that. This will prevent this bolt from ever rusting, ever. All right, we got all those on. Next up here, you can kind of see the outline of it. This is going on just like that. And another thing we're doing to this is we're gonna put this grease on this as well. We're gonna put it underneath, put it on top, so it never keeps rusting ever again. See, that's what that should look like before you put it on. And also this stuff, mice hate this stuff. So once you grease your stuff up, you won't get mice again. All right, and for that part, you got 3 bolts. 1 is longer, 2 are shorter. The longer one goes right here. So that goes like that. and then the 2 shorter ones go right there into the plastic. All right, we got that on. As you can see, this is what it should look like. This isn't just a restoration, it's also a preservation. Okay, let me quickly explain to you how this thing works, and then we're gonna move on to something else. So this side is attached to the blower motor. So you got air blowing in here super fast. When you have your blower motor on, hot water goes in through these and it runs through this heater core. So this gets super hot. So now when you got your air blowing in, if you have this way, now the air is blowing in through there and it goes in like in there, see? And it comes out the inside of your car. If you turn your heat on, see that goes like that? So now all the air is blowing through this thing and the air is getting hot now. And I'll show you on the other side. So now the hot air would be coming out here and here. It would just be blowing out, right? That's how that works. And if you flip this back with your controls, see now it's blowing through there and it's cold air that's gonna be coming out the other side. You get what I'm saying? So now air is coming out of here. What this actuator does, it moves this floppy door around. So now if you flip this like this, now all your air is coming out there. So that'll blow it onto like your window or whatever, right? Like up top. But then when you switch your controls, this will go over like this, bzzzt, move over, and now all your air is coming out here. It might go onto like your face and your feet, right? And if you put it bi-level, so it does both, then it'll go in the middle. Now see, it'll blow out of there and out of there. So that's how this part works. Your air conditioning system is ahead of this, which is still inside the car. That's actually what we're gonna be doing next. We gotta make sure there's no mouse stuff in there. And now that I got the wiring done in the car and I actually got power, I just did that yesterday. I tested the blower motor and I turned the switch and it went and it stopped. So we're probably gonna need a new blower motor, or maybe there's some obstructions there. So this heater box is 100% ready to be reinstalled. Everything works on it properly. It's preserved and it's got a brand new heater core. All right, let's move on to the garage. All right, I'm back in the garage. I'll show you what we're doing next. So inside here, that's your resistor for your blower motor, and there's your air conditioning radiator, I guess we'll call it. So basically, I mean, there's definitely some mouse stuff going on in there. That whole entire box. Let me show you the other side of it underneath the hood. All right, so right here is the box for the air conditioning. So somebody eliminated the air conditioning on this car. They just cut the pipes off, took everything off. So we're not gonna fix the air conditioner, but this whole thing has to come out. We gotta make sure there's no mouse stuff inside. And also, here is the blower motor, which also has to come out. We have to test it, make sure there's nothing in there. So our goal now is to take the blower motor out, and we gotta take this whole box out. Also, I just want to quickly show you guys something. So in our previous episode, we actually got the electricals working in this car. We still can't crank it because there's no heater core and no cooling system. But see, this is how you turn the blower motor on. So listen to this. All right, it doesn't seem to be doing anything anymore, but when I originally hit that switch, I could hear it. It went made a couple different little sounds, which means it's getting power. Things are good, but chances are it's fried or it's dried out or there's mouse stuff in it. So we'll take it out and take a look in there. And those are actually easy to fix, but I mean, with the prices of the parts for these cars, we'll probably just get a new one. I bet you it won't be much. All right, we're gonna start with the blower motor. So we got 1/4-inch screws going around, pretty simple. We're gonna take off this hose and we're gonna unplug everything and label everything. And also we got this green mystery wire here. I don't want to say it's for the air conditioning because I don't know, but we'll figure that out later. So everything has to get labeled so then we know that this was disconnected. Okay, this thing's basically ready to come out. I just see I put like a scratch on here and on here, so later there's no guessing games to how this thing goes back on. And you just take a screwdriver and there we go. Now I will quickly show you on how to test this blower motor. So that's the ground for it. and that's the positive. So we're gonna clean the ground really quick. You're gonna need a car battery and some booster cables. And then you attach your positive. Wow, it works. I mean, it squeaks and stuff, but it works. So we could take this apart and grease it up, clean it up and fix it, or we could get a new one. I'm gonna call and see what a new one costs. All right, we got the blower motor out. Now we're gonna remove these wires here. Maybe that used to be a plug, but it's not anymore. So we're gonna label these, but actually we're just gonna take a really good picture of it for later. And we're gonna remove this relay. We're gonna do that right now and unclip these wires here so we can have better access to this whole box. All right, we got all these wires moved out of the way. Now we just have to unscrew this relay box here. There's screws underneath it, 2 of them, 5/16 right there, and that whole box will come off, then we don't have to unplug anything. All right, we got the relay box off. So last time I'm gonna mention this in the video. See what we got? Relay box screws and blower motor screws. That's what you do with all your screws. So later it's easy. Okay, so now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 2 underneath. You can get in there, no problem. Screws, so we're gonna take those out now. All right, so a little bit of farting around and that should just come right out. All right, I'm just like pulling this off here. You guys gotta see what's inside of this thing. Look at that. It is completely full of mouse stuff. Okay, I almost got it out and I noticed there's one more screw underneath. I'll show you guys. All right, so right here underneath where the hoses were originally. So right there, see there's a little screw right there. It's like a 1/4 inch or something. All right, I can't get this out. There's not enough room. I would either have to get this out. You guys might be able to get it out because I got this funny thing going on here that's preventing it from coming out. So what we need to do now is we need to unscrew this whole part. There's a few screws. I mean, you can reach them pretty good. All right, that only had 3 bolts on it. Didn't even take that long. So now I can move this over and I should be able to get this out. And that too. Okay, so I removed this thing, sort of, and in the end, I gotta say, I think I can get it out through the bottom. Like, I'm almost there. So I'm gonna go underneath and try to get this thing out. I'll let you guys know if that worked. Okay, guys, I can't leave this out of the video. Like, I'm trying to pull this thing out and look what happened. Da-da-da-da-da. Isn't that crazy? Okay, I think I can get it out. So the one piece came out the top way, and the piece for the fan, the blower motor, comes out the bottom way. Okay, we got it out. Woohoo! Okay, I am grossed out to the max. Shower time. I'll see you guys in the morning. Must work on Corvette. All right, well, we got to move on forward with this whole heater box situation. So we're gonna clean those parts we took out yesterday, and there's also a third compartment that people don't even know about. I'll show you guys that after I'm done cleaning this and how it all works. So yeah, as you can see, this is looking pretty nasty inside. So we're gonna give that a good clean. See, all this stuff is flammables basically, and it's also absolute grossness. So let's clean that up. So the first thing we gotta do is remove the blower motor resistor right there. Since all the air conditioning stuff is missing, we're probably gonna eliminate this air conditioning radiator thing because somebody twisted all these hoses anyways, so it's no good anyways. And then once the car is all done and running and everything's 100%, then maybe next year or something, you know, we'll get all everything, new compressor, everything, and then we'll have an episode on fixing the air conditioning system. But for now, we are eliminating it. All right, we got that all apart. So as you can see, there's a pipe missing there. This one's all twisted. That's garbage. We'll keep it for the future as a reference. Okay, and as you can see, there's all this like gooey, Play-Doh-y stuff around this. So So we're gonna scrape that off with a knife and then bring all this inside and wash it. We got the resistor out and we got the sensor out. All right, we got those plastic pieces all nice and degrossed, just waiting for those to dry. While we're waiting for that, we're gonna move on to the blower motor. The blower motor does work, but it's super squeaks and doesn't spin good. So we're gonna replace it with a new one. So either way, if you buy a new blower motor, you have to switch this fan part anyways. So this has to come apart regardless. So you just got a bolt there. All right, we got the bolt out. So right in there, we're gonna stand this up and we're gonna put some WD-40 right in there. Great stuff. I don't know how you could ever do this without it. WD-40. Anyways, we're gonna put that in, give it a few minutes, and that should slide right out. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go clean this now super good, and then by the time we're done doing that, the plastic pieces should be dry. Okay, so I explained this to you guys earlier, right? So air goes in through here, and then it comes out inside the car there. So air goes in through here, but the air that goes into here comes from, see, if you put these two together, so that's fully enclosed there. So the air from the motor shoots into this hole, and then it blows it out this, right? And that attaches to here like so. So there's basically nowhere for anything to get in except for these spots from the air conditioner and at the bottom here where the water used to drain from the air conditioner. So we're gonna cap all three of these off so mice or anything can't get in anymore, right? So that's where the air blows out. And then here is where the motor attaches, and I'll show you inside the car right now where it gets air from. And this metal part here, so that's only for the hoses here. Once you put that on, this is actually separate from this entrance here. So nothing can get in that way. I hope I'm making sense to everybody with that. I'll show you quickly in the car now where the air comes from. Okay, so right inside here where the outside heater box was, see right here attached. So this all ends up being closed with the heater box. The air actually comes from this hole. That's where the motor's sucking the air out of. And if you notice, see when you look in there, that's a completely separate compartment. Like see if you look inside the car here, see it's all closed off. So that's a separate compartment. We're gonna have to get in here as well and make sure there's no crap in there, which I can already tell you there is some. Okay, so see on the inside here, this hole would be completely closed off with all the plastic heater box stuff. But see, it gets the air from inside of this whole cavity here, which actually travels up here and it gets air through this grill. So we're gonna have to basically take this apart. Either way, we're gonna have to because none of this stuff works. And we're gonna have to fully investigate that entrance to make sure there's no mouse poop and nothing flammable inside of it. And also if we go back inside, right here, see is another mechanism. And what that does is when that opens and closes, that decides if the air comes in from up top there by the wipers, or if it comes in from the inside of the car through that area and just circulates around. And that's controlled by this here, I believe, but we will figure all that out later. Once the car is running and we got the vacuum system working, it'll be easy to troubleshoot all that. But for now, we are going to have to take all this apart, test this diaphragm and see if this door works properly. And we're also gonna have to take this apart. All right, I'm gonna go get suited up and we're gonna get started on taking the third compartment apart for the heater box episode. All right, I'm actually having a problem with the heater core that I want to show you guys because I mean, this is stuff that people are going to have problems with. So I don't want to leave anything out and pretend like everything's hunky-dory and nothing's going wrong. I'll show you right now. Okay, so originally when we put this in, right, this one's 2.5 inches and this one was only 2 inches, which that part we were able to solve, you know, you guys seen the video. But the second problem I'm having now is, so this distance here to the back of this pipe right here. So from there to there, it's 1.5 inches, see? 1.5 inches from there right to here. See, on this one, it's like 2 inches that the pipe sticks out. See, I got that all straight with where that is. 2 inches. So it's got an extra 1/2 inch. And see, now the problem with that is, now when we put this cover on the way it originally went, right? So this goes on like this. See, the problem now is that those pipes are actually hitting. See right there, there's not enough room for this to go down all the way. See what I mean? Look at all that space. I even tried bending it a little bit, and in the end, I can't use this. So I just talked to Napa. They want me to take it out, bring them both in, and we're going to compare them, and they might reorder it. We're thinking that it's actually defective from the factory. See, this part here is hitting this right here on the inside is what I'm saying. And I mean, I even tried bending this. I always try to make things work when I can, but this is just too long right here, too long. Okay, so I just did some research and I ended up talking to a gentleman at Volunteer Vette Products. Great, super friendly service. He basically ended up informing me that those little skinny aluminum rads, they get calls about this problem all the time. So I'm gonna save you the headache and basically just get it from them. They deliver to Canada too, no problem. Here, take a look at this. Okay guys, so I just went on my phone right onto their page. Super easy, you just type in HA03, that's the part number, and it takes you right to the heater core. You scroll down and see, there it is. And then you just place your order. Super, super easy. Okay, now we're gonna get suited up and we're moving on to this situation there, taking that out. Okay, the first thing we gotta do is remove this plastic thing. In order to do that, we need to remove this metal thing here. Just a couple screws, no big deal. Okay, we got that off and the plastic piece off. So now we're gonna take off these 2 bolts here and try to remove this. Okay, we got that unscrewed. So there's a spring there we gotta unhook. And in here, we gotta either unhook this or that. See what I mean? And we gotta remember how it all goes. So this is a good video for that. All right, we got that out. So we're gonna grease up all the moving spots before we put it back together. And to test this, I mean, if you push it in, right, and then you hold this, you don't wanna pull it too hard so you don't rip it, but you can tell it's working. See, watch. So this is good. We're gonna reuse this. Okay, let's go inside. Okay, so inside of here now, see, you got this flappy door. So basically when this opens, see, now the fan's gonna be sucking air in, mostly from here, some from out there too, right? And then when it's closed, now it's sucking all the air up top by the wipers, right? That's how that works. And as you can see, this looks okay. The bottom's super rusty and corroded, so we'll grease all that up so it moves good. Now, in order to get this out, you just compress this spring like this, see? And then that just comes right out, see? Like that. And like, I mean, look inside of there. Okay, we got that out, came out no problem. I'll show you inside, and there's one problem with this too, I'll show you. All right, take a look in there. So as you can see, we're gonna be able to get that with a shop vac. And that should be okay. We're not gonna take any more apart in here. And as you can see, phones are great for looking inside areas that you normally would never be able to see. Okay, so the only problem I see with this is, see, it had this around it like this. All the way around, see what I mean? Like that. So then when this would close, this would make it basically airtight, right? And without it, you're gonna have, you know, a little bit of gap all the way around. So, I mean, what that does is when the air circulates around, you'll notice your windows get fogged up easier when it's raining. You want outside air going into for your windows not to fog up. So with this being like that, a little bit's gonna get in, it's gonna suck in some inside air, but it might be all right. I will do a little bit of research and I'll find out if we can actually get a new one of these, or maybe we'll just run it as is. We'll get to that later when we're reassembling things. Anyways, let's move on to taking that area apart. So up here, we're just gonna try to remove just the grill. We're gonna try to leave this on for now. I just wanna see in there and make sure there's nothing obstructing it in there, like where the air is getting sucked in. And I think we can get the rest out with the shop vac. So it's going pretty good. Okay, so we got this all apart and we vacuumed everything out. So I got this all figured out. So basically right in there is where it gets air from. Here, I'll go down here where the blower motor is. See, so inside of here, if you look up into there, see, that's where the wipers are. See, I'll put my hand in where the wipers are. So you can see my fingers. So that's where it's getting air from. And the way this works is there's a vacuum hooked up to this little door here. See? So this door closes. I don't want to break it because the diaphragm. So there's a vacuum hooked up to that. And there's a vacuum hooked up to this door inside of the car. And at the same time, when that vacuum gets suction, it opens this door. So now it's getting air through there. And as it's opening that door, it actually closes this door. So it pushes up against, see, there's like a rectangle there. And then it kind of shuts the air off from coming in from up top. So those work together at the same time. I'll just quickly show you inside the car here. See, so this vacuum here, see how it splits into two? So that one goes to that diaphragm up there that I just showed you. And then the other hose, see this one, goes to right here. So those work under one suction of the vacuum. So as far as I can tell, all that is working. We'll still check that top diaphragm after, once the car is running and we have vacuum in here. What I'm gonna do right now is clean all that out, vacuum everything out, and we're gonna move on. All right, let's take a look in there now after vacuuming it out. So there you go, that's what that should look like. Much, much better. All right, so all in there, we also vacuumed out all the poo and everything. And inside of this hole, everywhere that we could get. I mean, we sucked everything out of there. She's got nothing in there now. So this car is almost demoused as far as the heater system go. We got one more place inside the car. Let me show you. So right in the middle here, we have one more blend door. This like decides whether it goes up to your windows or onto your feet. So we gotta pull that out. See, there's mouse poop in there, and we gotta make sure this diaphragm's working and everything's moving smoothly, grease it up. So in order to get this out, as far as I can tell, the only thing holding it is this one vacuum here. So I'll take that out and I'll show you on the bench what it looks like. So I'm just pulling that part out and I noticed something that I want to point out to you guys. So first of all, there is two vacuums. So we're gonna label this and make sure everything's labeled. Don't forget to do that. But see, I noticed right here, see, like this hose was completely pinched, like it was bent. And same with this one too. So chances are this wasn't working properly anyways. And since this is all kinked and it wasn't working, chances are it's like super dried up and stuff, the blend doors, because they probably haven't moved in 30 or 40 years. So we'll take that out and grease her up. And what we're gonna do is later when the car is running, okay, so maybe another episode or two away from that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have, all the heating stuff back in. We know the diaphragms are good. We know that everything's in the right place. We know all the blend doors move properly. We know what everything does. So then later we will have a vacuum episode where we check all the vacuums. So in order to do that though, we're gonna need the car running so we can have a working vacuum system, and we will slowly, eliminate everything and figure out all the problems. In that episode, I'm gonna go over this whole mechanism here, and might even take it apart and grease everything up and make sure everything's working properly with all this kind of stuff. So that will be in a future episode. So make sure you subscribe, entitled Vacuum System, something of that nature. But we're gonna get this heater system so we can put coolant in and move on to actually starting this Awesome Corvette. Okay, we got that out, and it's pretty straightforward how this works. So the air blows in right here into this, see, and then inside of it, either this closes like that, and then all the air will come out, onto, this is like that, so onto the window, right? Or it will come out like that, and then all the air will come out onto your feet. That's what that decides, or, I'm sure it can be in the middle or like that, and then it comes out on both. And to test the diaphragm, I mean, just like before, you press this, right? Plug the hole. See, it's holding. Now watch when I let go. So this diaphragm is good. This thing is barely moving. It's rusty and corrody everywhere. So we're basically gonna take this in the house, clean it super good, grease up all the moving parts, and this thing is fixed and ready to go back in. Okay, we got this thing cleaned out. We got every little moving part greased up. She's good to be installed. Now the last thing we gotta do here is this thing here. So remember, we glued that on, filed that inside. Look at this now. So that fits right in there. See, look at that. Okay, we got the spring attached. Just a matter of putting it in there now. All right, and that's that. Okay, so we're basically ready to reassemble all three of those heater boxes. The inside one, the one by the motor, and the one in the fender. Like, I'm gonna count those as three because people would probably only clean the one. So that's all ready to go in. The only problem we're having now is we gotta wait a week for the heater core to come in.
But no problem, because I'm gonna fast forward you a whole week right now.
All right, and just like that, a whole week went by. Our heater core is here. Check it out. So here it is. This thing looks super good. It's an exact match of the original one. I'm very happy with it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this bad one out, and I will show you some measurements of this, what would be acceptable and what you could use. And if not, then you're gonna have to go this route, which is the better route. And I mean, check out these guys. They got a magazine with literally every single Corvette part you could imagine. So I highly recommend these guys, Volunteer Vette products. Okay, I'm gonna get started on pulling out the bad new heater core and putting in the good new heater core. Okay, got these out. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is bend these brackets back to the way they were so they fit on this original one again. Okay, got these bent back, no problem. So they're back to being the original fit again. No worries about that, as you can see. So I mean, here's the original one, and here's the one I got from Volunteer Vette products. And I mean, these are identical in every single way. I'm very happy with it, but this one's nice and new and fresh, right? Okay, now I'm quickly gonna compare the two, and I'll show you why the aluminum one can't be used. So here's the aluminum one. Here's the part number for it and the brand. Unfortunately, there's some kind of situation with it where it doesn't work. So I mean, these are clearly different. You've seen that the thickness level, we were able to figure that out by changing the brackets. So all that worked. The main problem with these is that these pipes just stick out too much, right? Okay, so here you have it. This is the important measurement. So from there to there, this pipe sticks out like 1.25 inches, basically. 1.25 inches from this point to this point. That's what you need. 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches would still be suffice. See, on this aluminum one, so when this pushes up like that, this one sticks out almost 2 inches. So it sticks out 1.75 inches basically, and it's just too much. It hits that one spot on this inside cover right there. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. You're not gonna bend that because then that will affect where your air conditioner goes, see, on the inside. So it just doesn't work, it's defective. So let's say you could go to like Napa or whatever, that's where I got this from. And you could modify these brackets and then use this, but the problem is these pipes. I mean, you could go to the store and measure that pipe right there. And if it's, 1.5 inches or less, 1.25 inches, let's say, then you're good. But if these pipes stick out the way they do on this one, you know, it's just no good. Like that's way better, and that's not. But in reality, you should just do the smart thing and get it from these guys, because it's an exact replica of the original one. It's perfect. So we're gonna put that all together now. I'm gonna keep that out of the video because it's pretty obvious what I'm doing. And then we're gonna move inside the car and start reassembling everything. There is a few things you gotta see there. And if you're just tuning in, we have a 1969 Corvette with a 350 engine and air conditioning. So that's what this is for. The one without air conditioning is different, so you might not have this problem. But for this particular model, this particular heater core is incorrect, and these guys should actually take care of that and recall all the bad ones and send out good ones, and then they can redeem themselves. Okay, so I'm putting this new one in, and I mean, first of all, I would have never had to cut this. See, it fits perfect. These are in the right place coming out, and even this little bracket, I mean, it fits on there exactly perfect. I don't have to bend nothing. Like, it's all ready to go. So, I mean, this is the heater core you want. Okay, so we're gonna put this on just to see. And I mean, that feels a lot better. By the time the firewall comes into play, this thing will be perfect. So definitely, that fixed the problem we were having. Cause it was like this, you know what I mean? So it's all good now. Okay, since we're getting rid of the air conditioner temporarily for now, we have to cap these holes here, 1, 2, and 3. So the screws that held the air conditioning radiator, I'm gonna call it, in place. So we're just gonna screw those in and leave them in here. So in the future, we know where they are. Plus it eliminates the little holes. So we're just gonna take this little skinny piece of sheet metal. See, so we made little things like this. We're just gonna put a little bit of crazy glue on this and just glue it on. And don't worry, later we can just get a screwdriver and pry it off if we need these back. And that's what that will look like, see? Nothing wrong with that. And for this one, we're just gonna cut a circle out. Same thing, just crazy glue it on like that. All right, so that's what that looks like now. That way mice can't get in there for sure. And it even looks nice. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is take a razor blade like this, and in here, we're gonna clean all this like old silicone-y kind of stuff off. See what I mean? All in there. So we're gonna clean all that, and we're gonna do the same thing on the inside. All right, got that all nice and clean, so that side's ready. On the inside, it actually was pretty nasty in here. Like the mice, they dragged all this material stuff around everywhere, so I cleaned it up. I gotta just vacuum all underneath here now, and see, this is gonna be ready now. That looks good now. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna clean all that up. There's a couple little plugs. We're gonna stick them in these holes. We are missing the sound barrier stuff there, but like the mice ate it all up and ripped it all up, so it had to come out. You can always get one later or not really worry about it. This is a muscle car. Okay, that's what that should look like. Let's start putting all this together now. The first thing we're gonna do is take this part and we're gonna slide it in from underneath, just the way we took it out. Oh yeah, and we did test this flappy door here. It does work. It holds vacuum. So on the inside here, we disconnected that hose there, and I got a buddy to press that flappy door in, and then I held it with my thumb, and it stayed until I let it go, so it works. Okay, back to the install of the box. Okay, so I have been trying to get this in for like 15 minutes. It is impossible to get it in. I don't even know how it came out. So this thing right here, so you unscrew this from that, you put a wrench on there, and then this, you unhook the vacuums from it, and this will just spin off. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this off, and this little bracket, a couple screws in there, and then hopefully that will just slide right in this way. Okay, so taking this off made all the difference in the world. This thing just went right in, and the other piece actually goes right into, no problem. So you might as well just take this off. Right from the beginning, it'll make your life a lot easier. Okay, I'll show you what we're doing next. So you're gonna have to get yourself some of this. It's basically, it makes a gasket, but it doesn't like fully dry, so it seals it, makes it airtight, but if you ever go to take it apart, it'll come back apart. There is these foam kits you can buy for these heater boxes, but You can also use this and it works just as good. I don't really like foam around blower motor resistors. They get really hot. So a little piece of foam falls in, it could catch on fire. This is the way to go, I think. So you put some of this on. So basically on the inside of this cover, see there's these little like tracks. So you just put it in all of those and on here, and that'll make it all nice and tight. And you do the same thing on this part of the heater box. See right where that line is all around. And you also do it when you put it on, you just put a bead all around there and you're good to go. All right, so that's what you want. You just want a bead like that. Nothing too crazy. You're not building a spaceship here, but that's how you want it. There's one space that you put on later. All right, so we got that all on. I'm very happy with the way it went in. Now we're gonna move on to this guy here. So we're just gonna put a bead around there. I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, I'm very happy with that. That looks good. When you put it in, don't forget to hook up this vacuum and that one, and that's ready to go in. All right, so we got the heater box installed. We got the two vacuums hooked up to it. I'm very happy with that. This is basically in for good now. That ain't never coming out no more. We're gonna install this part now, this middle part that goes right there, and then we're gonna install that part there, hook up all the vacuums, and then we'll hook up the hoses and we can fill this thing up with antifreeze. We're that much closer to starting it. Okay, I'm done on the inside. I'm gonna quickly show you guys a few things. All right, so I got the heater box in, I got this blend door box in beside it. Everything is like super solid in there the way it should be. Also, these big bunch of vacuum hoses, see, as you can see, they're actually running in the right spot and behind there. Before they were like kind of squished here and they're all being compressed. So that's all good now. See, I'm working on this right now in there. So as you can see, I got everything greased up and lubed up. So this thing moves super freely now. No problems. So yeah, I'm just gonna put this on and then we're gonna move to the heater box under the hood. There's a few things there I wanna show you guys. And as far as the vents that hook into this part, so those go into the, like the blowers on your face kind of thing on both sides and on your feet as well. So we're not gonna put that in. That's not a mechanical part. This way, when we start the car, we'll be able to reach all the vacuums so we can troubleshoot all the vacuum system. And also I wanna be able to reach all the electrical because there's still a few problems there. The headlights don't work, the windows don't open and close, just things like that. So I need all the wires exposed. But the heater box is doing really, really well. All right, so moving on to the blower motor. We transplanted the fan, pretty straightforward. And then there's this rubber piece that needs to come out and that just goes in there. And the other thing you gotta do is you gotta take your little ground, which originally sat right there like this. And we just have to, right on this hole, just clean the paint off so it's a good ground, right? And clean this thing up and then put it down when there's no paint, and that's ready to be installed. All right, so I cleaned that, I transplanted this, and look inside of here. Wow, like talk about fire hazard. So I'm happy I got a new blower motor, made the right choice. Got the blower motor from Napa, locally. Exact perfect fit, $62 Canadian. So there is one more thing worth mentioning. So this thing right here also was sitting like this on the blower motor, right? And I think this needs a ground too. So I'm gonna clean this right here super good. Clean the paint off just so when that sits on there, it also gets a nice solid ground. So I figured I'd just mention that. Okay, I'm gonna do that and put this blower motor on. All right, so we got our blower motor in. So the one thing that we're gonna do now is some of these wires here, some of them look decent and some of them are kind of corroded inside. So we're gonna clean them, like even this one here. We're gonna just clean all this to bare metal with our little Dremel here with this super, super fine little tip. So we'll clean all those up and then we'll plug everything in. And then I'll quickly show you what goes where and I did figure out the one green wire, one here that wasn't plugged into anything. I do believe that's something to do with the AC now because I traced it back and it goes to the temperature sensor on the air conditioning box over there. So we're just gonna tape that up and just leave it. All right, so we got all these nice and clean. So every single wire now is gonna get some dielectric grease, no exceptions. You basically take some, you squeeze it in, and that prevents it from ever corroding. And every single plug for the blower motor and the blower motor resistor, we're gonna put a whole bunch on everything, make these wires good so there's no issues. All right, so we're basically done here. As you can see, if you really wanted to, you could kind of follow these wires yourself just from this video. So up here, I guess our plug got chewed up somehow by something, but that's the order of the wires there on the blower motor resistor. Okay, we're gonna put this back on so we don't take apart too much. And we're gonna move on to the hoses. There's one thing I wanna show you guys there that's kind of important. All right, so before I get started on the hoses, I'm super curious to see if the blower motor is gonna work and all that. So I quickly hooked up the battery. Let's see if it works. Okay, it is spinning. There's low setting, medium. See, something's not right about it. It seems like it's spinning slow. Oh, wow. When I put on max. All right, so it's this relay box that's making the noise, but I actually have a spare one. I hooked it up and it's making the same noise still. So I'm gonna move on to the hoses right now and I'll get back to this later. Okay, moving on to the heater hoses. So you're gonna need two hoses. One is a 3/4 and one is a 5/8. So you're gonna need two of those. There's two different size fittings on the heater core. So you put the bigger one on the bigger one, the smaller one on the smaller one. And here on the motor, you got a 3/4 there on the pump. And right up here, you got a 5/8. So that's where those go. And you just run those on the side there. But the only thing is, if you remember at the beginning of this video, the hose was kinked. So we're gonna put these L-shaped plastic pieces there. These are made for heater hoses, and that'll prevent the kinking. So I'm gonna set that all up, show you what it looks like. All right, so we got the two hoses connected. I mean, this thing is ready for antifreeze. Let's quickly go underneath. I'll show you where it was kinked before. All right, so underneath here, see, that's the heater core coming out. So we got these nice L-shaped connectors, so there's no chance of that kinking, and those just run up there and they come out right there on top and go to the motor. So I'll show you how to put the antifreeze in, but before I do that, I couldn't resist and play around with that whole blower motor situation, and I actually figured it out. Okay, so the blower motor in there, this relay, and the wipers, for example, all of this runs on one ground. So it has one negative going to it that it shares, right? So I figured out what's going on is it actually has a bad ground. It doesn't have a good solid ground. So the thing about these plastic cars you gotta know is whenever a system is not working, chances are it's the ground. Because see, normally your wiper motor would be connected to this and it would be getting a ground just because metal to metal. But in this case, this is plastic, so this wire gives it a ground. And for some reason, somewhere back, I'll eventually trace it and figure out why it's not getting one. But what you need to do is you need to get yourself these type of little connectors. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with running some extra ground. So you just hook up a ground to there, and then you run one and hook it up to your frame. And then in here on the blower motor, you plug into this and you put one of those on the ground there and you run that to the frame. And now you have a good solid ground. And this wire that goes to the relay also is connected to this one ground wire, which isn't getting a ground for some reason. So what I did is I just temporarily hooked up a set of booster cables right to this. And now the ground goes through this wire it goes to the blower motor, it goes to the relay, and I just hooked up the other end of that to the frame of the car. And I mean, it works perfect now. And that's how you would test that. You hook up a pair of booster cables to something, hook it up to the frame, like the negative to negative, and then it'll most likely work on you. All right, take a look at this. Yeah. I mean, how awesome is that? So basically we got the whole entire heater box. Everything's good to go. I'm super happy with the results today. Let's fill it up with antifreeze right now. Okay, so the way you fill this car, this has a 350 in it. This is a 1969 with air conditioning. There's actually no bleeding points. You don't have to bleed it. What you do is you gotta put 15 quarts of antifreeze in, 14.2 liters. You mix it 50-50 with distilled water, or you get the pre-mixed stuff, and you just basically fill it up, you start your motor, and you keep topping it up. You might even want to go for a little drive, top it up, and keep checking it. That's how you do it. You don't want it to get too hot and open it and it blows up in your face, so you gotta be responsible there. But that's how you do that. So anyways, thanks for watching today's episode, and also this is a great brand. I highly recommend. In the next episode, we will be starting this car. We will be turning the key and starting the motor. So in the next episode, we will be prepping this motor for the first startup in 20 years. I'll take you through the whole process. Shouldn't be a long video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. And thanks for watching. Can't wait till this thing's running, hopefully in a couple days.